Alright guys, let's continue on then. So in the Myrna period then is when this guy changed his name from being Amenhotep IV to Akhenaten. And in the Myrna period, he makes Aten or Aten. Actually, Aten sounds more reasonable. So Aten becomes official god, and he is now considered to be the supreme god and father of the Holy Royal Family. Akhenaten and Nefertiti observe Shu and Tefnut creation story. I don't know what that is, so I'm gonna have to get back on this later on. So just remember that Aten now becomes the official cult in so Akhenaten, in Akhenaten's time, Aten becomes the official cult, and Amenhotep III had already initiated the idea, as we talked about over here. So, right here, cult of Aten, right on the top. Yeah, cult of Aten. So he had introduced the idea already, and it reaches its peak in Akhenaten's time. Okay. So, sun god Aten, we've talked about this already. Now, Akhenaten and sun disk, quasi-monotheistic. So, monotheistic is basically he wants everybody to believe in just one god, which would be Aten. Reaction against growing power of the priesthood of Amun. Closed temples of Amun and diverted money to temples of Aten, required military to do this. So that became a huge issue then. Worship to gods banned, temples of Isis and Osiris destroyed. Almost no impact beyond royal family. So yeah, he basically wanted this Aten god to become the only god that people worship. So now we get into the Amarna art, this period of characterization where the capital was not the capital, but the temples were shifted from Karna. What was the place called? Karnak, right? Major shift in religion and changes to Egyptian society, right here. Let me just read this again. So the Amarna period was an era of Egyptian history during the latter half of the 18th dynasty when the royal residence shifts from Karnak to Akhenaten. Okay, so Amarna art then characterized by movement in images. So now the images, previously it seems the images were stagnant, they were motionless, but now we see movement in images. They have raised heads, they have many overlapping images. Scenes are shown of busy and crowded, portrayal of human body different than Egyptian conventional art. Now, illustration of hands and feet becomes important. There's hands and feet are long and slender figured. Great pains undertaken to show figures and fingernails. So, showing fingernails, as you'll see in this picture, these hands are shown in trick. Let me change my color. Oops, that doesn't work. Let me highlight it. So, if you see this hand here, very intricately, very detailed pictures of everything. Flesh shown as being dark brown, contrasted with the more normal dark brown or red for males and light brown or white for females. So previously they would have the color dark brown or red for males, and then you would have lighter skin tones or just white for females. But now flesh is just being shown as dark brown for everyone. Natural bodies outlined by using clinging drapery, diaphanous clothing with the bodies showing through. Okay. So example is, now this is not that picture that is described here, but I think this is just the king and the queen. But there was an example of Akhenaten and Nefertiti with their daughters in intimate poses. This one is just Akhenaten and Nefertiti. I don't think it has their daughters. So anyways, Akhenaten and Nefertiti produce our 11th pharaoh. Let me go back to my pen. So now he's the 11th pharaoh of the 18th dynasty. Akhenaten was the 10th one. Now Tutankhamun, his name means living image of Aten. So it makes sense for Akhenaten to name his son something like that, because he was a strong believer of Aten, the god Aten. So he marries his half-sister. I'm not even gonna, well, let's see. Akhenaten. So he's the son of Akhenaten and Nefertiti.